Okay, can you hear me? Okay, I hear myself. So I've been having a lot of conversations lately with young scientists, students from undergrad to recent PhDs, and they have one thing in common. They are encountering intense struggle and failure and experiencing that wonderful imposter syndrome that tells us, I'm a fraud, I don't belong here, what am I doing here? Because there's something that we all know about science, right? And that is that it takes a certain kind of person to do science. And that if you're failing, you probably are in the wrong place. So I'd like to tell you a story on that topic. So it's July 2016 in Houston. I'm at the ISS conference facility because I've been placed in charge of a DEAD project. I've been placed in charge of getting this neutron detector onto the space station, and its flight certification is 6 months behind. I've got one shot at this safety panel, and my boss didn't want to come. Thank you, Dr. Daubin. He doesn't like Houston in July, which, understandable. It's hot. So I'm there about to present this safety analysis for 2.5, 3 hours to a room full of about 3 dozen NASA engineers, my childhood heroes. And I'm a terrible undergrad. I had just failed roughly 50% of my classes for the previous 3 terms after the death of a parent. I was in a toxic and doomed marriage. To complicate things, our detectors had just been coated in the wrong material. So they were supposed to be coated in a plastic epoxy substance. And instead, they were coated by accident in a resin epoxy that goes by a few names. So Duco cement, which is a common hobby glue. What the SDS sheets will tell you is that it's cellulose nitrate, which also goes by the trade name gun cotton because it burns bright, hot, and with no residue. It explodes under friction with itself and anything else, and its flash point is -4 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm thinking, this room might not be that friendly when I tell them that. Fun fact, as long as you have all of your safety analyses in line and you're actually taking precautions, you can put like a shot glass of explosive material, so like 1.5 ounces on the space station without really good reasons. So, luckily, at that point, my untreated anxiety disorder drove me to over-prepare for everything. I have rehearsed so many conversations in so many showers, you would not believe. But first I had a bigger problem in the way. I went to the security desk and they asked me my name, and I said, oh no, what is my name? And this wasn't suspicious, honest. I'm like, okay, they're gonna arrest me. I take my ID out of my purse, read them the name off the ID, slide it across the counter, and they slide it back to me with my badge, both of which I promptly drop on the floor, and go into the ready room with the payload. So fast forward to late October 2016. It is 1 week after I was the weird loner jumping up and down on top of bleachers in a field in rural Virginia, ugly crying. There was lots of snot. Watching this rocket go up with the payload that I worked on it. So 1 week later, I'm about to give my first ever lecture presentation at a conference. And normally undergrads present posters, but my boss likes to challenge his students. I spent the first 2 years I worked for him almost constantly going, am I being hazed? So I'm about to do the first lecture presentation. Now, going into this, my first practice, I fled the building having a panic attack. I texted one of my friends to please get my laptop and purse and all the stuff I left in the conference room so I don't have to face a group again, and please bring it to where I'm hiding. The second practice went a little bit better, and I got some great information on slowing down and breathing and not hyperventilating or talking real fast, like I'm doing right now. And also, the second piece of information, which I'm not doing right now, is always bring a water bottle. So, because then you can, stop and sip out of it if you get hoarse or whatever, or if you are like me, you're probably not, hopefully. I am what you could refer to as a stress puker. So, I am giving this lecture presentation, and I get started, and my anxiety starts to balloon out of control. And I remember to breathe, so I finish a sentence, I inhale, I exhale, and I throw up in my mouth. And it's not a little bit, it's like chipmunk cheeks. But I swallow it down, and I go for my water bottle, which I've left in my hotel room. So I go through the rest of this talk with the worst taste ever going on. Nobody noticed, which is okay. But this is great. This is better than people noticing, right? The horrible grossness was so distracting, it kind of ate up the processing power in the back of my brain that was going for the anxiety. And it actually kind of put me in the zone, weirdly. That's the weirdest benefit for a stress puke that I've ever had. So fast forward to last fall, and I'm at the physics department fall awards luncheon, and I'm about to receive an undergraduate excellence in research award. And one of my professors invites me to the grown-ups table. So I'm actually having lunch and having small talk with professors, which is weird. It's weird, but fun. So we're talking, and she's telling me about this student that she's trying to figure out how to work with, because he's kind of flaky, and he's not showing up. And he has taken Physics 451, Introduction to Electromagnetic Theory, 4 times. And I'm like, Dr. Aidenwell, aren't people who've taken Physics 451 4 times the worst? And I should point out I'm sitting directly across from the professor whose Physics 451 class I had failed 3 times in a row. He was watching me. He was watching me with intense focus. So I said to Dr. Aidenwell, aren't people who failed 451 3 times, who've taken it 4 times, the worst? And she goes, I know, right? And I said, do you know who else who's taken 451 4 times? She goes, no, who? It's me. And she goes, it's okay, grades aren't everything. And you know what? They're not. See, nothing is really everything, right? And this is a story not just about how I'm kind of a walking dumpster fire. It's a story about how I graduated with physics and math degrees. I got the dean's list my next to last term. I have 6 undergraduate publications. One of them is first author. I'm a MERSEC fellow, and in the last 48 hours, I've been contacted by hiring committees from 2 national labs who told me to expect offers in this week. So this idea that maybe it just takes the right kind of person to do science, I'd like to try and put a crack into that, because if a mess like me can do this with an undergraduate degree, maybe it doesn't take the right kind of person, maybe it just takes the right kind of persistence. So as a bonus round, do I have time? I would like to tell you my coping mechanism for imposter syndrome, because I get it a lot, and if it doesn't help you, at least maybe it can give you a laugh. So, rule 1, and I can't break this rule, otherwise it falls apart. I can't lie about myself. I can't even get really creative on my CVs, like when I was 15 and I was a sacker at a grocery store, and I definitely put on my resume that I was responsible for packaging and transporting merchandise. That doesn't fly. So, the second part, somebody has made the big mistake of giving me an opportunity. And if this is being recorded, hiring committees, you know who you are. But I didn't lie about myself. So their mistake is their mistake, and they get to own it, and those chumps deserve to have their checks cashed by me to teach them a lesson. And in the meantime, while I'm trying to fly under the radar until they notice what a fraud I am, what a horrible student and researcher I actually am, because this is what my brain is telling myself, is that these things are true, and that somehow they're going to find out. While this is going on, before they notice, I'm going to try and weasel my way into every facet of this project and make myself so useful that they can't afford to fire me when they figure it out. So this gives me a way to, when I can't silence that voice that tells me that I am an imposter and don't belong here, it gives me a way to still accept the opportunity. And it gives me like a goal to work towards so I can focus on something else. So anyway, maybe that will help. If not, maybe it was just entertaining. But thank you.